Party is running over $400,000 worth of ads in support of the conservative candidate, Judge Brad Schimmel. Musk has publicly expressed his support for Judge Schimmel. Judge Susan Crawford's campaign has accused Musk of trying to buy the election for her conservative opponent. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News.
Badgers host Illinois. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. It's Wisconsin against Illinois tonight at the Kohl Center in Madison. The Badgers now ranked 11th in the nation after beating Purdue. Greg Gard says his team is better now at managing the shot clock.
That's important. I think it just shows the growth of this team. They couldn't make that play in October or November. They weren't accustomed, I think, to playing together as comfortable as they are right now.
We've learned that Marcus Sedbury is the new general manager of the Badgers football program. Sedbury has served as assistant athletic director at Wisconsin the past 3 years. He'll handle the players' and coaches' contracts. Baseball. Brewers left-handed pitcher Nestor Cortes is at spring training in Arizona, trying to learn everyone's name in the clubhouse after 5 years with the Yankees.
Yeah, the names is going to be tough. Obviously being, so many years in another organization, Gold Glove caliber defense, and as a pitcher, that's what you want. So I'm very excited for that.
That's Brewers pitcher Nestor Cortes with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy for tonight, lows 5 to 10 below, wind chills to 20 and 25 below. Increasing clouds for tomorrow, highs of 10 to 15 above. And with sunshine, we climb to the low 20s on Thursday and a warming trend into the weekend. Currently, we're at 8.
The Todd Alba Show.
Elon Musk putting in so much money that it drowns out other people's voices to decide who our next Supreme Court justice is. Whether or not you're going to vote Republican or Democrat or Schimmel or Crawford, your voice is getting drowned out by Elon Musk, a guy who has no business in Wisconsin. And you don't think that Brad Schimmel is going to be in Elon Musk's pocket? It's going to affect us in Wisconsin.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Did you know more than 50,000 state residents report being scammed every year? I'm Lisa Hale.
I'm Terry Barr. How you can protect yourself on the next New Wisco weekend.
Saturday mornings at 8, Sundays at 11 on WGBW. Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Nite Lite with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy who loves the sin but hates the sinner, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome to Nite Lite, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Pete Schwaba. I will be manning the mic here for the next couple hours, hoping to make you feel better on a Tuesday, a winter Tuesday in Wisconsin, or as we like to say, since we light it up here every night, Conrad, Fuse Day. See what I did there?
That was great.
You look like you're embarrassed to laugh at that. And you know what? I've had about enough of your crap already, and we're only 30 seconds into the show. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. Yesterday, I forgot who said it on the stream, but it is the dead of winter.
Yeah.
And it really feels like it.
It sure does. At least it was sunny today, but it's freezing. It's 8 degrees outside here in Green Bay. I hope it's a little warmer down south if you guys are Madison, Beloit, whatever. But, man, it is, it's cold. And it's not too bad because, I run out to my car, I warm it up, I let it get warmed up for about 10 minutes before I leave. So when I get in the car, it's nice and toasty. But there's still that just chill in the air. It is really depressing. However, having said that, we're going to light it up here tonight, folks. It's great to have you with us. Hopefully we can warm your hearts with some comedy, some music. Got a great show for you tonight. My guests tonight are comedian Jim Flanagan. He will be here at 6:35. Very funny guy. Just a classic, really solid, good, kind of out of that Chicago mold, Irish-looking comedian. Very funny. And I'm very excited to have Jim on the show. I've been trying to get him for a while, and we finally were able to figure out something so Jim could be here, and he will be here on the stream at 6:35. So very excited to meet Jim and talk to him a little bit about comedy and his career and what he's got coming up. And then at 7:20, the guy behind the guy, J.B. Thompson, introduced us to a guy named Jason Moon. Jason is a musician. He is a veteran of the Iraq War, and he founded a project called Warrior Songs. And I think his other foundation is called Arizona Warriors. But he teaches and encourages healing for veterans through music. And I'm very excited to talk to Jason. He's got a really interesting story. He himself, as I mentioned, was a veteran, was hurt in combat, I believe, and we're going to share some of his music too. It's outstanding, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what they do with Warrior Songs. So that's going to be fun. That's at 7:20. And this is kind of fun too. I'm very excited about tonight's question. We got a lot of activity last night with our Saturday Night Live question, but tonight I noticed when I was just kind of putting the show together today that John Hughes passed away. Well, it's his birthday this week. He passed away in, was it 2009 already? This is going to bother me if I don't find this. He was only 59 years old, and he is just such a prolific writer-director. And 2009, he was only 59 years old when he died. And he has blessed our lives with his great films. I grew up on John Hughes movies, and that leads us to our question of the night.
Let's talk about the question.
Okay, question.
Question. Question. Pregunta. Question.
Question.
Okay, I have a question. Questions? This question.
Domanda.
Question. Questions.
What is your favorite John Hughes movie? You know the films, we grew up with them. 16 Candles. She's Having a Baby, Mr. Mom, Vacation. We can even throw Home Alone in there because I think he wrote Home Alone, but did not direct it. Yeah.
Oh.
The guy has done everything. The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Okay, whatever. Weird Science.
Oh, come on. I love
I know
that
you
movie.
love that movie. 16 Candles, as I mentioned. What else do we got here? Vacation might be my favorite. He also wrote Christmas Vacation.
There's just one in there that I think sticks out.
Home Alone 2?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Automobiles.
There we go.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Pretty in Pink. It's interesting. I would have to say, did I say The Breakfast Club? I would have to say Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, in my opinion, is probably his best movie from a perfection standpoint. But personally, I don't know. I might have to say Ferris Bueller's Day Off or Vacation.
It has. So, okay. Remember how I was talking about the worst Home Alone I seen was the last one they came out with?
Yeah.
Home Sweet Home Alone. It says that he was actually a writer on it. But it didn't come out until 2021.
Well, sometimes you get like written by credit if you created the initial.
Okay.
Like when Greg Liano, when we've had him on, he still gets credit for Meet the Parents, even though he hasn't worked on the scripts because he created the whole thing. So that's probably what's happening there with John Hughes.
It does say that Mikey Day wrote that too. So
really, Beavis?
That's make some better films, Mikey Day.
Yeah. There are some that are forgettable. I thought Pretty in Pink was just okay. Some Kind of Wonderful I saw once. I thought it was kind of forgettable, but even his forgettable or decent movies, 2.5-star movies, are better than some of the stuff they put out now. But I would have to say his best film, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. My personal favorite, it's a tie between Ferris Bueller and Vacation.
I loved Uncle Buck, though, too.
Yeah, a lot of people do. It's a good film.
Such a good film. Vacation is definitely up there, too, though.
But what would you say your favorite is? Uncle Buck?
Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation, okay.
Because I go to that movie every Christmas.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, there's so many to choose from. I mean, the guy has just had this incredible career. And in the Beats tomorrow coming out, 16 Candles turned 40 this weekend. Over last weekend, I should say.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and it was supposed to be shot as $1 million film in Chicago independently in 1982. And then it gained some traction. He sold a couple other films. And before you know it, I think it was The Breakfast Club I'm talking about. I'm confused here.
Yes.
The Breakfast Club turned 40. And the next thing you know, he's John Hughes, and he's putting all these movies into production. He became a legend. And most of them, I would say, if not all, were shot in and around Chicago, right here in the Midwest. Vacation, obviously, they went on the road, planes, trains, and automobiles, but such a prolific talent, writing and directing. That is our question of the night, folks. What is your favorite John Hughes film? Could be something he wrote, directed. There's no right answers. There are only your answers, and we will read them on the radio happily. Let's have fun with this one because it's a great, you got a lot to choose from. As I mentioned, Some Kind of Wonderful, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Vacation, Christmas Vacation, both of the first Home Alones, and Conrad said the fourth?
The
Home Alone?
fifth, actually.
The fifth.
It has
Okay.
his name attached to it, but let's hope he's not.
I would be surprised anyone.
Yeah, let's he's connected to all the Home Alones.
All the Home Alones. He created it.
Yeah.
The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Some Kind of Wonderful,
It says
16
that
Candles.
he made Drill Bit Taylor.
Is that true?
It's on his movie list.
I'm not going to put that on my favorites, but Uncle Buck.
It's a
Yeah,
funny
he was
movie.
still making movies. I mean, Weird Science even. I forgot about Weird Science.
Flubber?
Flubber? He made that one too?
I didn't know that.
I've got a list here of like his top 15. Here's The Great Outdoors. Another funny one.
Yes, I actually watched it over this weekend because it was just on.
Mr. Mom could be one of, I would say Mr. Mom is one of his better films. Maybe not the funniest, although it's very funny. Michael Keaton's hilarious in it. Martin Mull, Terry Garr. But that's a really solid movie. She's Having a Baby is a good movie about people, Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth Montgomery, McGovern, I should say, about to be parents for the first time. Alec Baldwin did a great cameo in that. So let us know what your favorite John Hughes movie is, folks. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. You can text us on the app. So easy to use. The Civic Media app is a piece of cake. Click on any one of the stations because we are on statewide, and just click the little text icon and fire away and let us know what you think. You can also text on the stream, YouTube, Facebook. Am I getting everything, Conrad?
YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
X, Twitter. The X Twitter.
The X Twitter,
That
yes.
makes sense. And let us know. Also, the phone lines are open, folks. You're welcome to give us a call. Tell us what you think. It's always more fun when you guys participate. So that is our show for tonight. We got a lot of stuff going on. There's this is so creepy. I saw this and I wrote a beat about this for tomorrow in the Hollywood Beats. Guy Pearce, one of my favorite actors, he's nominated this year for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for The Brutalist. It says Kevin Spacey harassed him on the set of LA Confidential, one of my all-time favorite movies. Guy Pearce is brilliant in it. Kevin Spacey's good in it. It was really hard to read this stuff about Kevin Spacey when it first came out. But now Guy Pearce is saying Spacey was aggressive with him and harassed him on the set. Didn't assault him, but was very aggressive. And he was in a position of power, and Pearce downplayed it. But Guy Pearce also said when all these accusations came out, like in 2017, he heard all these people coming forward and he sobbed, thinking about all these other people going through what he went through. Guy Pearce also told his wife that he liked going to the set on days when Simon Baker was there because Kevin Spacey, would turn his attentions to Simon Baker. How sad is that? I mean, you're part of one of the greatest films, in my opinion, ever made. Just all aspects of movie making there. Script, direction, acting, sets, a period piece, just a great soundtrack. And you're trying to avoid this creep. The experience is not even great for you because of Kevin Spacey. It's so horrible. And that was part of the Me Too movement, I guess, is when all that came out too. but I just read that last night, and it kind of just made me sad because I'm like, what a cool film to be a part of, and then you don't even get to enjoy it. What do you think about the no-shows at the Saturday Night Live thing that came out?
I wonder why Bill Hader just said, "No, I'm good."
It is weird. I mean, if like half the people said no thanks, I get it. But almost everybody went that was invited except Aykroyd, Bill Hader, and Dana Carvey.
And
Colin Quinn.
Bill was part of it for a while, too, so I'm surprised he didn't.
Something like 10 years or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise. And they're not giving excuses. They're just saying, no, I didn't want to go. Like, okay.
All right.
Who might argue with that? All right. When we come back, we're going to hear some of Jim Flanagan's comedy, and we'll read your text. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The talk of Green Bay, WGBW.
Are record energy costs putting a squeeze on your fixed or limited incomes? With limited incomes not keeping up with the lingering effects of inflation, you might be one of tens of thousands of Wisconsin residents who are struggling to survive in the blistering heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter. While you haven't asked for it, the Keep Wisconsin Warm Cool Fund and your local energy assistance providers are here to help. No Wisconsin resident should ever have to face the challenge of living without heat or power or face homelessness. For a hand up, apply today and call 1-800-506-5596. That's 800-506-5596. Or visit www.kwwf.org.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. Believe it or not, it is once again time for Wisconsinites to head to the polls and vote. I know, we all have a bit of election fatigue after 2024, but the spring election primary is coming up on Tuesday, February 18th. One race that will be on every ballot statewide for the spring primary is for state superintendent. Incumbent Jill Underly is seeking another term, and two candidates are challenging her. Jeff Wright, superintendent for Sauk Prairie Schools, and Brittany Kinzer, an education consultant and former charter school executive. Kinzer's candidacy, in particular, is gaining steam. Her campaign reported raising more than $500,000, far more than what Underly or Wright have brought in. With that type of financial support, this could prove to be a more competitive race for state superintendent than what we've seen in quite some time. This is becoming a real race to watch.
It is John Hughes' birthday today. I said I think his best movie is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I think it's almost a perfect film. My favorites, however, well, that probably is my favorite. But if I had to go tied for second, I'd go Ferris Bueller and Vacation. Conrad says Uncle Buck and Christmas Vacation. So we got some variety going here. Let us know what your favorite John Hughes film is, though. Dan Schaefer, that is such a great ad. I love that music he uses. I always think it's going to be the Cranberries, and then it kind of diverges and goes this way. But remember when he was on the show, his favorite show is The Wire. And Dan and I were going to do a breakdown of The Wire, so let's not forget to do that. We got to have him on, and we could do 45 minutes just on The Wire, because I know he's as big a fan as I am, maybe even bigger. Our text lines and phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Flanagan, comedian from Chicago, will be here at 6:35. We'll be talking about Jim's career a little bit, and we'll hear some of his comedy in just a few minutes. We've got text line, phone lines open. Sherry from Horicon says, good evening, Pete and Conrad. Good evening, Sherry. We haven't heard from Sherry in a while.
I was thinking that.
What did you do? Did you piss her off or something?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. She's very temperamental. She's not temperamental.
I'm sorry, Sherry, if I did anything to offend you.
I'm sorry if Conrad did anything. Tom from Los Angeles says Sully and Lambo. Am I missing something there? Favorite John Hughes films? I don't know what that is, Tom. Maybe I got, he says, and this is Lombardi. Am I reading the wrong text again? I've done that before.
I think he was showing his dog if you go one below.
Oh.
Picture of his dog.
Gorgeous doggy, Tom. I love it. That's a great name. Sully and Lambo. He's just sharing his dogs. That's great. Folks, you can share with us whatever is going on. I just want to make sure I was getting the context of the text right and that I wasn't reading that like it was a John Hughes film. Thank you, Tom, for the text. Sherry says, Mr. Mom. Yeah, great film. Really solid film. She says, there are way too many. I agree, Sherry. Annie from Watertown says, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Excellent choice, Annie. Anna from Madison. Hi, Pete and Conrad. My favorite John Hughes movie is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I love that movie. She even threw in the little the emojis, the plane and the train and the automobile. She must have had to dig for those because, like, when I want to use a different emoji like that, I have to scroll. It takes me like 8 minutes. So I appreciate the effort, Anna. Thank you. From the 608, this could be the toughest question so far. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is mine. Yeah, it's tough to disagree with that 608. Monica from Mount Horeb says, I think I like them all, but Christmas Vacation and Vacation. Still laugh at the squirrel in the Christmas tree and dead grandma. You know, the first time I saw the dead grandma on the station wagon, I didn't even laugh that hard when I was a kid because I thought, I just didn't really buy it. I'm like, come on. But as I got older, she is so annoying. And it makes sense that they wouldn't want a dead person in the car with the kids. I totally buy that now. Isn't that weird? It somehow has become more plausible to me over the years. Great text, Monica. Thank you. Eric from Lodi says, I've got to say National Lampoon's Vacation because my family was both the Griswolds and Cousin Eddie's family at various times growing up. Everyone's favorite line from Cousin Eddie and my family was, let's go find your sister. Pretty creepy. Eric also says, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a masterclass in buddy road movies. I agree. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, my wife and I just call it PTA, and Midnight Run, two of my favorite road movies. Anna from Madison says, Pete, I didn't see Joe Piscopo at the SNL 50th show either. He did a great Sinatra impression. That's right, he did. I don't know how popular he was, though, Anna, and I don't have any inside knowledge. I just remember rumblings that he was difficult to work with, so maybe they didn't invite him. But I don't know. Eric from Lodi says, my wife and I took a trip to South Dakota a couple of years ago, and an homage to Vacation stopped at every tourist trap we could find on the way out there. That's part of the fun. Oh, is that him? Has he sent a picture? Is that Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a corn cob with a face on it.
Yeah, that's definitely a tourist trap. That's awesome. Thank you, Eric, for the photo, too. Brian from Milwaukee says, John Hughes wrote the National Lampoon films, Class Reunion, Vacation, European Vacation, Christmas Vacation. That's right. I forgot about Class Reunion. Great text, everybody. These are fantastic. All right, so our guest in just a few minutes, I want to get this clip in before we bring Jim on because it's great stand-up. He's a very talented stand-up comedian. And here is a sample of his comedy. This was shot at Zany's, I believe, fairly recently. But let's hear some Jim Flanagan, Conrad.
One of my hobbies last year, this is a real thing that happened to me. I was riding a bike. I went out for my first bike ride on a brand new bike, and I got hit by a car. Okay? I'm fine now, unless any of you work for State Farm Insurance. And if you do, I'm still under continuing doctor supervision. We're working through a few things on the back end. The person who hit me, she was so nice. She waited for help to arrive, but just kept saying the same thing over and over and kept just going, I just didn't see you there. I just didn't see you there. And eventually I wanted to help, so I was like, hey, listen, you don't need to say that part. I know you didn't see me there. That's implied. You not seeing me there is the basis of our whole conversation. I can't even imagine a scenario where you saw me, hit me with your car, and then came over to talk about it. I just don't even know what that would look like, you know? You're just kicking around the debris, and you're like, oh, hey, you made it. All right, I should probably explain a few things. I saw you there, I did, and I got mad, you know? So I was just like, we got to get rid of him. So I drove as fast as I could. And if I see you again, I'm going to keep trying. I really want to finish the job.
Great stuff. That's Jim Flanagan. He'll be here after the news at 6:35. Our question of the night is, what is your favorite John Hughes film? It's his birthday today. He passed away in 2009. I cannot believe he died that long ago. It does not seem like, I remember getting that news and being kind of shocked. Jim from Kenosha says, I'm with Conrad, Uncle Buck, but they are all great. Thank you, Jim. Brian from Milwaukee, he added something else to his previous text. He said, we watch the Christmas one as a family every Christmas.
Same
here, Brian. What's the other? On the stream we got Jim Denny checking in. Says Ferris Bueller's Day Off, though they all are great, hilarious movies. He's brought a lot of joy to our life, folks. We're going to bring a little more joy to your life after the news with comedian Jim Flanagan. That's coming up. Jason Moon, Warrior Songs. We're going to talk about veterans healing through music at 7:20, and we'll be reading your texts all night. Chime in. Let us know how you're feeling, Wisconsin. It is great to have you with me on this Tuesday. Fuse Day, as we call it, because we're lighting it up. I'm Pete Schwaba. This is Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to the Talk of Green Bay, WGBW, home of Mino and the Mayor.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
For 97.9 WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. A 30-year-old Wapaka man received 4 traffic citations after his pickup crashed into a stopped school bus last week. Jordan Gilbo got citations for non-registration of a vehicle, driving while suspended, reckless driving, endangering safety, and failing to stop for an unloading school bus. No criminal charges were filed in the February 11th incident in Royalton. 4 students were either on the bus, had just gotten off, or were in the process of getting off the bus when it was hit. After over 70,000 votes were cast worldwide, the late John Brosick of Pound, Wisconsin, was named the 27th member of the Green Bay Packers Fan Hall of Fame out of a field of 10 finalists Monday. Brosick passed away on December 28, 2024, shortly after being named a Fan Hall of Fame finalist. He was so proud of the honor, he asked his family to include the exciting news in his obituary. Dedicated and passionate, Brosick became a Packers season ticket holder back in 1962, and for more than 60 years he attended every game included in his ticket package at Lambeau Field. He and his wife also watched the Packers play at 29 different NFL stadiums. In an excerpt from the nomination essay, his family wrote of his battle with cancer, saying, "Unfortunately, Dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in June 2024. When asked what goals he'd like to set, the first goal was to attend the 2024 home opener so he wouldn't break his streak and could start year number 60. They made that happen. Brosick's name will now be permanently enshrined in the Packers Hall of Fame. I'm Lisa Hale, 97.9 WGBW News. For news anytime, log on to WGBW.FM.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Sometimes Marvel movies are review-proof. Such is the case with Captain America: Brave New World, which was #1 at the box office this past weekend. Despite mediocre reviews, the franchise flick pulled in $192 million at the worldwide box office to lead the way. Theater owners in the U.S. were particularly happy as the 4th Captain America film brought in about $100 million domestically. Not bad for February. The other big film opening this weekend was Paddington in Peru. The 3rd installment in the popular Paddington franchise finished in second place, bringing in $13 million at the box office. Paddington will probably find a bigger audience when it goes to streaming and VOD. Sony Pictures' Heart Eyes took in about $10 million in its second weekend to finish in 3rd place, and it was Mufasa the Lion King holding steady in 5th place during its 9th week of release with $4.2 million. Starting to think I'm the only person that hasn't seen this movie. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. Partly cloudy for tonight, lows 5 to 10 below, wind chills to 20 and 25 below. Increasing clouds for tomorrow, highs of 10 to 15 above. And with sunshine, we climb to the low 20s on Thursday and a warming trend into the weekend. Currently, we're at 8.
Nerds, it's time to come together. I'm Amanda Nimmer, bringing you your new Wisco 411, and this is your time to rise because one of the largest Star Wars fan collections in the world is coming February 1st through April 27th, showcasing iconic characters, vehicles, memorable scenes from the franchise. There are 142 collected items, including a life-size land speeder. Get your tickets for the Multicultural Center's unofficial galaxies from February till the end of April.
Community is more than where you live. It's the people in it who show up each day and help it thrive. During Black History Month and year-round, AARP recognizes the everyday excellence of those who give back to their Wisconsin communities. They believe when efforts drive change for the greater good, everyone thrives together. Connect and learn what AARP is doing locally and how they can make the communities better for all ages. Visit aarp.org/WI. Paid for by AARP.
Dom Salvia.
Next time, Matt Rothschild returns to discuss the results.
Hi, this is Jenny Slate, and you are listening to Night Light with Keith Schwaba.
Words like violence break the silence, come crashing into my little world. Painful to me, it's like the
Brian from Milwaukee says Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a classic when they try rewinding the speedometer. I seriously love every movie or every scene in that film. Keep those texts coming, folks. What is your favorite John Hughes movie? It's his birthday today. It's also Molly Ringwald's birthday. And she's another one of my exes who rarely calls. Can't seem to get her on the show.
I didn't know that.
I think she was cheating on me.
Oh, well,
I don't know.
Sorry about that, man.
I don't blame her. I'm just saying. Jason Moon coming up at 7:20. He's going to talk about a great project that he founded called Warrior Songs. He is a veteran and a musician, and he's going to talk about healing veterans through music. That's at 7:20. Very excited to talk to Jason and meet him. Also very excited to bring on this next guest. I've never had the pleasure of meeting Jim in person, but I'm so thrilled he's on the show. I've tried to have him on now for a while. He's a very busy guy, but he's taken time out to join us tonight over the stream. Chicago-based comedian Jim Flanagan. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great, Pete. Man, I just got back to Chicago. Pretty excited to be back in this 8-degree weather. Just spent 10 days in Phoenix and Vegas. And why do we live here? What's going on? Why are we in the Midwest?
Hey, so my folks in 1979 decided Chicago wasn't cold enough. We're going to move to northern Wisconsin. And the trend in the country was going warm places. I don't understand. Now, it worked out well. I met my wife here, and I live there now. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm thankful for it. But it is an odd choice when you could pick wherever you want to go, and you pick a very cold place.
How old were you when you moved?
12.
Okay,
So
you do remember it here.
Oh, yeah. I lived on the northwest side, just off the Kennedy, about 2.5 miles west of Wrigley. Where are you?
I'm in the western burbs now, but what a crazy feeling that has to be to long, warm weather of Chicago winters.
I know.
Just getting further and further north. Was Canada not available to them?
What's so crazy, Jim, is like people, when I went back to Chicago to go to college, they're like, oh, man, you're way up there. That's freezing up there. I'm like, it's 5 degrees different. Some days we're even warmer somehow. I don't even know how that happens. But if you want to convince yourself you live in the tropics, that's fine with me.
Absolutely. I love it up there, though. It's beautiful country, man. I love northern Wisconsin.
It is. It's a very easy place to live. The people are great. No complaints at all. But Chicago's a great town, too. And it's a great town to do stand-up in. I started my stand-up career there years and years ago. It was such a fun place. Is it a good town to start in, Jim?
Absolutely. I mean, nowadays it's even better than when I started. You can get up, 3, 4 times a night in Chicago. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's so many clubs now. There's, Zany's downtown, Laugh Factory, Comedy Bar, plus like all the independent bar shows and things like that going on. I'm forgetting some. There's, 3 clubs in the suburbs alone now. So there's just so much you can do. Great comics. People come through before New York or LA. I mean, not, up the city I live in, but I mean, like you're getting, I think it's the best combination of talent and stage time that you get at any point in your career compared to a New York or LA. Like there's such great comics there, but the competition's so big, it's very hard to get stage time in those cities, right? So Chicago kind of offers a nice little blend of both worlds. I love it. I highly recommend it.
That's fantastic. How did you get started, Jim? How long have you been doing it, and how did you get started?
Yeah, so kind of the same as most of us, Pete. I went to an open mic one night, figured I'd check it out, see how it went, and you have to do well. It's kind of like gambling, how you have to like win once to get hooked. You know what I mean? Like no one loses all the time and then becomes a gambling addict. And I think it's the same with stand-up. I had a great set my first time out, and I was like, this is easy. And then the next time I went back without all my friends in the audience, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. I'm not good at this. And then you kind of, but from there, like once you have that feeling, I mean, better than it. Once you have that feeling, it's like, okay, now I want to figure out how to recreate that more consistently. And but that was about 20 years ago. I kind of took a long road. I mean, I did stand up on and off for a long time. And it probably wasn't, I took about 5 years off from like 2010 to 2015. And I was just doing sales, and I was kind of happy in my life. I actually was dating a woman from Wisconsin who had moved down here. We were living together, and I was traveling for work, and it didn't make sense to also be gone on the weekends. So I kind of took some time away. And then one day I was like, you know what? I want to figure out how good at this I can be. And for the first time in my life, I really made a push at it. And about 3 years ago, at 40 years old, I went full time at it for the first time in my life. So really backwards timeline of how you're supposed to do this,
Right, but there's no right or wrong. I mean, you found it, and are you still together with the girlfriend?
No. There's only wrong. Let me say that there are wrong ways to do stand up, but you're right. Maybe there is no blueprint of how to do it most successfully. But if there's a wrong way, I've found it. I've made a mistake.
Well, you eventually got there. That's great. Let me ask you something, Jim. I like to ask comedians this. When was the moment, and it's different with you because you said like you took all these little detours, but when was the moment in your life where you thought, I think I can do that and I'm going to give it a shot? Did something click? Did a light bulb go off? How did you find that time?
I just want to make sure, Pete, are you talking about like once you've already kind of done a little stand up, but like to say, I think I could really do this like for a living?
No, I'm saying like when you were, let's say 20 or 15
Uh-huh.
or 25 or whenever it was, where you go, I'm doing that. I'm going to try this because I think I can do it.
Yeah, I think it was more naivety. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was just kind of like this thought of like, let's just see what that's about. I enjoy it. I love watching it. And it was like, it looks so easy until you do it. And we talk to people every day who are like, yeah, I'm pretty funny around my friends. And we all think that just translates easily to being funny to strangers for money, which it doesn't. It's a completely different, it's like, I played football in the backyard. I could probably be in the NFL. It's such a different world, right? But then I don't know. I just, I got up there one night, and it was just like, I think I'd written for about 3 months before I tried it. And it was all garbage. I mean, it was all so bad, but I think everyone's so bad at the beginning, especially at open mics.
Sure.
And it was a contest, and actually it was myself and a guy named Vince Carone, and we're both still doing it. We tied to win the contest our first night out.
Oh, nice.
And then the next week we had to go back and headline the contest, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Oh, no.
But I think you need that, right? I think bombing is more helpful to you in this game than doing well.
Right. Do you ever meet those comics, Jim, where you're like, they're always, and most of it's because they're not professionals yet, but you'll say, oh, I really bombed at that room, and they'll go, oh, really? God, I killed. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, is that what we're doing here?
100%. They don't know that there's so many differences between when you go up and what you're following, and just, I mean, the audience, what you're saying, what you're working on. Like, there's the guys who say, I never bombed. It's like, okay, then you've never tried. You've never gone
Right.
out there and really put yourself on a limb. You're just doing stuff that you know they'll react to versus like really putting yourself out there.
That's a great way to say that. So let me ask you this, Jim. You did when I Googled you today, I was looking for something to play to kind of tease your appearance, and I saw part of a recent comedy special called Nate Land Presents. And it's Nate Bargatze, who is like the biggest name right now in comedy. The guy has completely blown up. He's unbelievable. And that was that sort of a special he put together. And I love Nate Land, like he's got his own country now or something. Like he's that
Right.
big,
Yeah.
you know, in stand-up.
He's taken over 100%.
taken
Yeah.
over, right.
Yeah. We're not just worried about annexing Greenland at this point, but now Nate Land is on the radar. No, Nate Land is his podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nate Land is his podcast. And then this is kind of his way of kind of taking and building that brand and then introducing the world to some comedians who can work clean. I say that because I don't usually work clean, but I think I have the ability to do so. And he wanted to kind of be able to showcase some people who, you know, maybe hadn't seen the spotlight yet. And it's an honor to be on one of the first episodes of that. I mean, it was just a really cool experience. We got he couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been more gracious. He took us on his tour bus, kind of gave us a little tour of what his life is like now. He was there. He produced the whole thing. He was really involved. The cool thing was, and I think you know from all your time doing stand-up, those big shows, like you add so much extra pressure to yourself sometimes, and just the moment itself adds pressure. He did everything he could just to make it feel like we were just doing stand-up at a club. He had as few extra people, as few cameras as possible. He's like, I just want you doing the thing you do without feeling like this is a big deal. And it went a long way just to make us feel comfortable and just make it a cool experience saying he's down in Nashville.
You had a great set. Yeah, that must have been a kick. I can't figure out Nate Bargatze. Like, the guy does not tell jokes, but he gets huge. Like, his style is so, it must have taken years to perfect, I would assume. I don't know how long he's been doing it, but you kind of have a similar way. You have jokes, Jim, but you also tell stories. What do you prefer?
I think everything you do has to be based in jokes, right? And I love telling stories, but I want to explain it in a funny way along the way. To me, there's nothing worse than a long setup to get to a punchline at the end of a story, because if it doesn't pay off, you've just the time. And I don't like dead air. I like, you know, I want consistent punchlines throughout a set, right? And through jokes of storytelling, because I think it's something that's more relatable to people than just kind of one-liners, just for me personally, and just for who I am. But I think they have to be like punchline packed throughout the way.
That's very interesting. Yeah, there's nothing worse, like when you're on stage and there's complete silence. It's like, wow, I really get a laugh there. I don't know what happened there.
It's the worst feeling, and it happens every night. Like there's never a set when you're doing a long period of time that you're like, that went exactly how I wanted it to. You know, there's always something that doesn't what you want it to. And so I think the more opportunities I have to get laughs, the higher of a percentage I bat. Maybe that's just illusion in my mind. Yeah, that's how it works.
My guest is Jim Flanagan. He's a Chicago-based stand-up comic, very funny guy. We were talking about, he just appeared on a Nate Bargatze special, and then you also did your own dry bar special, Jim, and you talk about how you don't work clean all the time, but you obviously had enough material or clean enough set to get a dry bar special. That's a pretty big deal for a comic these days, isn't it?
I actually have not gotten a dry bar, but I think what we're doing right now, Pete, is we are willing it into existence. I am hopeful for a dry bar, and that's what we're doing here today. We're going to start it
What are all these tags under these YouTube videos that say dry bar under where you were?
I don't know. I think anytime you do something clean, people just kind of associate with it. And that's fine. I get much. That's the nicest thing anyone said, to assume that I have a clean 45-minute special. What I usually get is people thinking they're coming to see Jim Gaffigan and then being sorely disappointed.
You're basically a Christian comedian. That's what I'm trying to say here, Jim.
That's what they assume for me. I was doing a show here in Chicago.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm on a little delay. I was doing a show here in Chicago about a month ago, and someone walked up to me afterwards, and she goes, "You were very funny, but you're not who we thought we were seeing." And I was like, did you think you were seeing Jim Gaffigan? And she goes, that's it. That's who we thought it was. And I was like, okay, you're not seeing him for $10 at a pizza place. This is on you. You know. To answer your last question. Yeah, right. I think that everything I do, I want to be able to be clean because I want to be able to do it anywhere. But I think there's a lot of times where the audience doesn't want that. You have to be able to spice it up. But to me, it's a lot easier to add swear words to a joke than to take them out of a joke, if that makes sense. I can always pepper them in there. I can make it dirtier. If someone goes, hey, make your set dirty, done. But if someone says make your set clean, that's a much harder thing to do. So I figure if you start from a place of clean, it goes better.
I can give you clean and unfunny or dirty and funny. All right, so all right, we got a lot to cover here. And we don't have Jim all night, but he's joining us here on the stream. We're going to do a very short break, and we'll come back with our guest, comedian Jim Flanagan. Joining me here on Night Light, this is Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
.9 WGBW and WGBW.FM.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect.
800-217-9129. 800-217-9129. 800-217-9129.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Todd Alba Show.
Elon Musk putting in so much money that it drowns out other people's voices to decide who our next Supreme Court justice is. Whether or not you're going to vote Republican or Democrat or Schimmel or Crawford, your voice is getting drowned out by Elon Musk, a guy who has no business in Wisconsin. And you don't think that Brad Schimmel is going to be in Elon Musk's pocket? It's going to affect us in Wisconsin.
The Todd Alba.
Birthday today. That's our question of the night here at Night Light. My guest right now on the stream is the very funny Jim Flanagan, who joins us from Chicago. Jim, do you have a favorite John Hughes film?
Yeah, it feels cheap to say this because it's so late, but Home Alone. I think that I'm just too young for the era of his initial early 80s stuff. I was born in 80, so I love Ferris Bueller. I was going to bring up the rolling back of the speedometer because that was like the coolest thing when you're a kid. You know, I thought that was going to be successful, but I know someone already brought that up. So, but I think Home Alone is probably, I mean, It was just right in the wheelhouse for me, you know. But there's so many. I mean, I looked at kind of a list. Unbelievable how much this guy's done.
It's unbelievable. And Home Alone has got it's one of those films where you just kind of want to be in the world. You know, you want to get out and follow Kevin around the neighborhood, check out that really cool house, and it's just nothing. I feel like the whole movie, like the first hour and 15 minutes, is an opening act to that half hour where it's just pandemonium, and he like really sticks it to Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. But yeah, what a fun movie. That's a great choice.
Speaking of fun movie, can I plug you real quick? I just for the third time in my life watched The Godfather of Green Bay. And
third time? Wow.
At least the third time. Third time start to finish, I can say for sure. It is one of my absolute favorite movies. You've got so many of my favorite people in it. From Mike Toomey and Jimmy Pardo to Thomas Lennon. I mean, so this is an honor for me.
Wow.
You see so many people, comics who write movies, and their first movie has them doing some weird job that isn't what they did. I love seeing a comic go, no, I'm a comedian. This is what I know about. This is what I'm going to write about. And it's so well done. You nail all of these tropes of the different characters, the Higgins of the world, the Doug, D-U-G, the Hook. I mean, what was that like to be able to put all that onto the big screen?
I mean, it was a blur, honestly, Jim. It was like, you know, when you direct a film like that, you're so focused on other stuff, and you feel bad because I live in the town now where we shot the film, and I have people come up to me and say, I was an extra or this, and you just don't remember because you're so busy. So it was a blur, but it was, I mean, bringing Tony Goldwyn and Lauren Holly and Tom Lennon to Little Marinette, Wisconsin was a thrill. And I'll tell you, since you like Tom Lennon, this was funny. We had an offer out to another actor. He passed. Tom accepted. He accepted because he thought I wrote another film called A Guy Thing that I co-wrote with Greg Leanna, and Tom is in that. And he thought he knew me from that, but he knew the writers that replaced us. So he agreed to do this film. Well, he flies into Milwaukee, and there's like a 3-hour car drive north, and he gets there and he realizes I'm not that guy. And I'm like, well, you're here now anyway. You might as well do it. But it was, you know, it was great. Eric Price, we had so many great comedians. It was a very funny set, I have to say that. And I wish at times I wasn't so focused on directing and acting as well, because everybody else had a blast. You know, we shot in a bar. They were drinking when we were done at 3 o'clock in the morning, going out on our day off, and everybody had a really good time. So yeah, it was a kick. But thank you for the nice words. I was not 3 times. That's impressive.
That's not why you had me on here, just to talk about your movie? No, I'm just kidding.
What other
I will say,
do you like about me, Jim?
The fact that you wrote in a makeout scene with Lauren Holly to your own movie. I think that's what a smart thing to do for yourself. You're like, if I'm directing this, I get the good stuff.
We you know, it's so terrible. Like there were people in that movie that, you know, there were some attractive men and women, and guys in the crew would come up to me, and if they liked a girl that was in the scene, they would go, please make this a nude scene. I'm begging you. I'm like, no, I'm not a creep, dude. I'm not gonna write in that like she's an extra. I'm not doing that. But yeah, you'd be surprised. But no, it was really fun. We had a great time, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So hoping to do it again one of these days. But let's talk about that, Jim, with you. What are your aspirations? What do you want? Like your own sitcom? You want to sell theaters out? Where would you like to sort of steer your career?
Yeah, I think it really, for me, all stays with stand-up. And it feels like a boring answer, but I mean, you say it in the movie, like paying your dues isn't bad, right? And this is what I love. A lot of people get into stand-up to do something else. I just love telling jokes. So I'd love to get to a point where in more markets, people knew who I was to be able to come see me do that. I look at a Brian Regan, like the greatest career on earth. You don't have to be so famous, you can't around, right? You don't have to be Pete Schwaba and Marionette, but you can still be famous enough in these markets where people want to come see you when you tour. I think that's like that perfect sweet spot to me of where I'd love to be. Enough people, 1,000 people like you enough to come see you in a theater once every year or two, but you can still live your normal life.
And you still have a big coach bus you can drive around in and be comfortable in. And it's funny you say that, because that's something I had totally forgotten about my movie. The whole point of the movie was the journey. He didn't realize his dream came true. He's telling jokes and getting paid to do it, and he's not making tons of money, but you're right, Jim, and that's kind of a smell the roses type situation. So that's a great answer. I love it. Who are your? Let's do this. We have to do. Can we keep you through the news for a few more minutes?
You got it. Whatever you need.
All right, fantastic. I want to ask you who the toughest guy you've ever had to follow was. So think about that.
Oh, easy answer. I'm ready.
All right, fantastic. And then we'll talk a little bit about working the road and what cities you like to work. I've got so many questions for you. We're not going to get to all of them, but I'm thrilled to have you here, buddy. Jim Flanagan is here hanging out with me on Night Light. We'll have more with Jim after Civic Media's award-winning news team keeps you informed. This is Pete Schwaba and Night Light on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I'm coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. Now I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab while he's having a smoke and she's taking a drag. Now they're going to bed and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head, but she's touching his chest. Now he takes off her dress. Now let me go. 'Cause I just can't look, it's killing me.
Or because we
My mama told me, she said, son, please beware. There's this thing called love, and it's everywhere. And she told me, it can break your heart out and put you in misery. Since I met this little woman, I feel it's happened to me, and I'm telling you, it's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. It's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. I found myself phoning her at least 10 times a day. You know, it's so unusual for me to carry on this way. I tell you, I can't sleep at night, wanting to hold her tight. I tried so hard to convince myself that this feeling just can't be right. And I'm telling you, it's too late to turn back now. I believe I'm falling in love. It's too late.
Broadcasting live from the Civic Media Studios in Green Bay, this is Night Light with Pete Schwaba, your inside source on everything entertainment from Wisconsin to Hollywood. And now, a guy whose house has an actual wiggle room, Pete Schwaba.
Welcome back. Great to have you with me on this Tuesday night. Jason Moon coming up at 7:20. He will discuss a really cool project he has called Warrior Songs, how he helps to heal veterans through music. And right now, we have a few more minutes with our pal Jim Flanagan, who is on the stream with us from Chicago. We're talking stand-up comedy and about his excellent career he's got going. Very funny guy. So, Jim, before the break, I asked you who the toughest guy is to follow, and you almost lit up.
Like, he really did.
It didn't take you long to think about that. Who is the toughest comic you've ever had to follow?
So I just had to do it this past weekend for probably the fourth time in my career, but following Brad Garrett at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club in Las Vegas. Yeah.
How do you have to follow him there? Wouldn't he be the closer?
You'd think so, but so he comes in on special occasions, and he was there for 4 nights for Valentine's Day weekend. I was there with Greg Fitzsimmons, an incredible comic out of LA.
Very funny. Yeah.
And so Greg headlines the whole week. So when Brad comes in, they kind of just cut the host, and then Brad hosts, does 30 minutes of crowd work. and you, I mean, you can see it in your face. Just know he's so funny, he's so famous, and it's so the opposite of the character that they know him for. And he's the guy whose name is a sign. I mean, it's like following Julius Caesar at Caesar's Palace. Like that, it's incredible. Like you're going up after the guy they're there to see, and he just crushes for half an hour with incredible crowd work. And then I do 10 minutes, and then he does 30 more minutes of crowd work, and then brings up the headliner for 20.
Well, at least you don't have to do like a full 30-minute or 45-minute set after him. Maybe that's the silver lining.
You think so, but the thing is, by the time they figure out what I'm doing, it's like, thank you, good night.
Right. When's
I
Brad
spend most of
coming
the
back
time.
up? Yeah.
That's it. I spend most of the time apologizing and just telling them that he'll be back soon. I mean, he's the nicest and most generous. It's a tough gig, and you sink or swim. And I think it makes you better. I had really fun shows because you kind of just, I don't know. In big moments, it's either like, well, we either adjust or we you beat you, right? And in this case, it was just like you make some adjustments. You kind of try to ride that wave a little bit that they give you. It's great momentum if you can keep it, but it's hard to keep their attention after they're like, you see that 3-time Emmy winner just made fun of us? Oh, who's this guy?
Oh, that's funny. That would be a tough guy to follow. And it's such a weird circumstance. My favorite, I had to follow, before I even knew this guy was, Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh, boy.
I just moved to L.A., and I got this gig through my friend at Comedy Central, and Gabriel Iglesias goes up for 30 minutes, and people can't even catch their breath. And then I go up there, and it was like our buddy Paul Gilmartin said, you could hear a bead of sweat roll down my back. That's how quiet the room was. And I got to do 45. It was awful. But my favorite story, this is great. Bill Hicks went up at the Funny Firm in the mid-'90s, and Dan Whitney, before he was Larry the Cable Guy, we were hanging out in the back of the room watching Hicks, who is just destroying the place. And Dan sits up on like a bar railing or whatever where there was a candle lit, and he sits on it, and it singes his butt, and he has this 6-inch long brown streak on his pants. And he goes, oh no, I got to follow Hicks with a crap stain on my ass. It is horrifying. Like, do you bring your own middle act with you typically, Jim, so the show kind of complements each other? How do you do that?
I would love to be at a point where they let me do that a little more often. So often on the road, it's just kind of it's whoever's in town, right? As far as openers, or whoever they can get, sometimes I get to bring my own opener, and I want a challenge. Like I want someone who's going to push the envelope a little bit. I want someone who's going to make me better.
Right.
You don't want someone who just lays down in front of you. To me, it's almost harder to bring back a dead room than it is to follow someone who does a great job. But there are certain things like you don't want someone who you want someone who sets up your show, right? So I do mostly material. So someone doing a lot of crowd work right in front of me isn't always the most conducive for me, but you adjust, you move on.
Exactly. And that's the sign of a really good comic, right? I mean, if you can do that where you don't go, oh no, this is all I have. Like when you're headlining, you're expected to be able to adjust, right?
You really have to. You have to watch the show. I spent a little time in New York here and there, and because of just the pace of New York comedy, you see people coming in and out without ever seeing what's happening before or after them on a show. They just go in, do a spot, and leave, and you'll see people repeating crowd work or repeating, topics that someone just did right before them. To me, it's so important to watch a show and kind of cross things off your list and go, okay, well, I'm not going to do that because they did something in front of me. But I think it's your job as the comic who's later in the bill to make those adjustments, not asking them to stop doing those things in front of you.
Absolutely. A couple more questions, Jim. Okay, so where are your favorite cities outside Chicago, assuming your hometown is one of your favorite cities to work? Where do you like to work? What's a good comedy city for you?
This sounds like I'm just saying nice things because of where I'm at, but Wisconsin is bar none my favorite place to do comedy. I've had incredible shows everywhere from Comedy on State in Madison, which is just a legendary club. The old Comedy Cafe in Milwaukee was just one of the hottest rooms. To very small town. Like I can't even think of the name of this little town right now, but like it was an actual movie theater. And it was you'll go up at some of these venues in Wisconsin, and it was a blizzard out. And this was maybe 6 or 7 years ago when UW was in the Final Four, and they still all showed up. And I'm like, why are you here? And they're like, because you're here. You came, so we might as well. You know what I mean? We might as well show up to watch you. And it's just, I love, I just think it's a great place to do stand up. But Nashville has become close to my heart lately. I love it out there. And as weird as the audiences can be sometimes, there's something special about seeing your name on the Vegas Strip. There's nothing like it.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a great answer. Did you work the Comedy Cafe when it was on Brady Street or the one where they moved downtown?
No, I was at Brady Street where they'd bust people in on Thursdays. Oh,
yeah.
Everything you wanted. They had great crowds, low ceilings. It was a great room and great audiences. I mean, but they'd pack it out. They were smart. They got stuff. They just let loose a little bit. Yeah, I nothing better than that room.
I agree. That was I didn't do stand-up for that long, but that was my favorite room to work as well. Such a great room. All right, Jim, you're flipping around on TV and a comic comes on. Who are you not turning off? Who can't you turn off and you have to watch them?
Dave Attell.
Nice.
Have you seen his Netflix special recently?
I haven't seen. I worked with him back in the day, but I have not seen any new specials. But I hear he's churning out jokes like nobody's business. I mean, the guy's incredible.
So great. To me, he's just the best to do it. And that's another one. You ask about kind of like where you'd love to be in your career. Just a guy that the back of the room loves. The comics are sitting there paying attention. They know it's great stuff. Just so clever, so quick. And he's really rapid fire, which I love. He hits a topic and leaves it and doesn't come back to it. And I think that's, some people really sit in the pocket, and that's a huge skill onto its own. But he kind of just goes in, skewers it, and is done with it very, very quickly. The way you see a lot of comics do anymore.
That's so great. That was so inside baseball, what you just said. I love that. All right. So what I typically ask most guests, Jim, is if they're binge watching anything. Are you watching a show you can recommend or something you can't turn off that you're really into and you can't wait to watch when you get home at night?
I just finished, oh gosh, I really wish I could remember the name of it right now. There's a new Netflix show with Ray Romano and Lisa Kudrow where they're selling a house. That's the premise of the show is they're selling a house that like he was an architect and they built together. And it's funny. It's also a little unbelievable, kind of like an Ozarks to it where like all these keep happening and you're like, wait a second, but you kind of suspend the disbelief. And one of the coolest things they did was they wrapped it up at the end of the season. So I don't know if there's going to be another season or not, but it kind of doesn't matter. It's not going to be like a show where you invest 40 hours of your time and then you get all mad because you never know what happens to these characters.
That's pretty cool. Did you look it up, Con?
Yeah, it's No Good Deed.
No Good Deed.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that movie. Or I haven't seen that. How many episodes is that?
I think it's like
or
8.
something?
Yeah,
I
like
love
40
that.
minutes each. Very dark comedy. And just a plot line that just it's great. All these couples are looking at the house, and all their lives become intertwined somehow. And there's some things happening that you don't really understand. And Ray Romano plays a dark character very well. I feel like there's some skeletons in that closet. He does a great job at some of these weirdos.
That's so great. Jim, thank you so much for your time tonight, buddy. It's been great getting to know you. Please keep us posted if you have Wisconsin dates coming up. Would love to have you back on and get that Dry Bar special, man. You're way too funny not to be on Dry Bar. And swear, please.
I appreciate it, man. It's been so fun to be here, Pete, and I'd love to come back anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much. That's Jim Flanagan. Check him out. Follow him on social media. He's got some dates coming up. Nothing in Wisconsin at the moment, but he performs all around the Midwest, and like you just heard, he was in Vegas and Arizona. So very funny comic. We've got Jason Moon coming up soon. I'm very excited to talk to Jason. He founded a project called Warrior Songs, which helps. He's a veterans advocate, which helps, and it helps veterans heal from their time overseas. And Jason is a veteran himself and was injured in combat. And I am very excited to talk to him about how he founded this group and all the great work they're doing. So you won't want to miss that. We have tomorrow night on the show. Who do we have tomorrow? Oh, another comedian, Jeff Kane, who is from my hometown of Marinette. And he just won a big comedy contest out in Colorado. So we'll talk to Jeff. Then we've got Nathan Deming on tomorrow night. He's doing a tour of Wisconsin with his film February. And he'll be in Marinette on Saturday. Tomorrow's like an all Marinette show. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
So, all right, we can
Here we
celebrate Marinette. Coming right back with Jason Moon, folks. So great to have you with me on this Tuesday night, Fuse Day, as we call it, because we're lighting it up. This is Nite Light with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network. Great to have you with me on this Tuesday night, a very cold Tuesday night here in the state of Wisconsin as we broadcast statewide from beautiful downtown Green Bay. Hopefully we can warm things up a little bit right now because I believe my next guest is joining us from Arizona, and hopefully some of that warmth will come through over the stream. He is an Army veteran and a veterans advocate and a founder, one of the founders or the founder of the Warrior Songs Project. Jason Moon joins me now on the stream. Hi, Jason. Do we have Jason?
Appears we're having a little technical.
We're having some technical issues with Jason. Okay. We'll figure that out. Jason, are you there?
I am. Can you see? Oh, there I am. You
Awesome.
found me.
Don't tell me you missed my incredible introduction of you where I heaped praise on you, and I hope you didn't miss that because of a technical issue.
It shut off the audio in my earphones, so that's all right. I like to stay humble, so all the good stuff was true.
You're doing some great things. You're an Army veteran. Thank you for your service. You're a veterans advocate and the founder of the Warrior Songs Project. I mean, talk about a guy who is doing his part to help veterans. Are you, by the way, are you in Arizona tonight?
Mesa, Arizona. Yeah, we moved out here for my wife to go to grad school about 7 years ago, and throwing out the snowblower just made me stay out here. You don't have to shovel the heat. You never fall and break your hip on the heat. So,
you know, it's funny when I lived in Los Angeles for years, and when I moved back here, people are like, "Oh, you're so much better off here than with those earthquakes and the tidal waves or whatever it was." I said, you know, I'm glad I'm here, but you're more likely to slip and crack your head open on the ice and be done in an earthquake.
Just going to Christmas dinner sometimes was a life challenging experience.
Exactly.
But I miss the people. I tell you that I miss the people. The Midwestern people are the nicest people in the country.
Well, that's very well said. And it's great to have you on the show. Before we get into Warrior Songs and some of the stuff you're doing, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself? I know you're originally from Wisconsin. I know you served in the Army. Tell us what brought you to this point in your life, if you would.
Sure. Yeah, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, raised in Eagle River, Wisconsin, and grew up poor. Wow. And to go to college, I joined the military at 17, Wisconsin Army National Guard, 724th out of Tomahawk, Wisconsin, and went to the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. Was well under my way of spending my 8 years getting my degree there. And yeah, well, philosophy and religious studies. I didn't want to miss out on anything. And I got out of the military in July of 2001 or August of 2001, and then 9/11 happened, and I was out. But they were sending the guard to guard water for treatment facilities and the borders, and we didn't have a TSA at the time. So I thought, hey, I don't want to be that guy who sits in a bar, 10 years from now, like, didn't you go to Iraq? No, I got out 1 month before 9/11. Thanks for the free college money. So I re-enlisted thinking I would go, to be utilized like the National Guard. And Uncle Sam had a different plan, and he sent us to Iraq, 0304. And I came back broken with PTSD, suffered for 4 years, taking whatever the VA would give me, and a little bit of self-medication with alcohol. And then finally in the spring of 2008, I attempted to end my own life. I had enough of it. And it was in my recovery that I started writing songs about the experience of coming home with PTSD and the loss and the confusion and the substance abuse and the nightmares and insomnia. And lo and behold, other veterans really thought that helped them too. And I started getting emails and phone calls. And I was in the process of switching from my master's to my PhD. And I just kept getting all these correspondences from family members and veterans, like, this is really important music. This is how I feel. And then I got one from a mother whose son had been in Iraq in the same place I was, Talil Air Base, same time I was. He had been home 4 or 5 years at the time, had attempted suicide 3 times, but like me, he didn't have a problem. He didn't need any help. And she said she played him the song Trying to Find My Way Home. He broke down, cried, told her what he had seen and done, and checked himself into the 40-day VA residential program the next day. And that was it for me. I was like, all right, I think the big guy's sending me a mission.
Wow.
I started traveling.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean to interrupt.
No, I don't. I'm kind of speechless. I think that's such a fascinating. I mean, congrats on making it through all that, and especially what you do now for others. We're going to get into that too after a quick break here, and we have that song, "Trying to Find Your Way Home." Great song. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I want to ask you. Well, we'll talk about that, but we're going to do a quick break, and we'll be back with our guest, Jason Moon, the founder of the Warrior Songs Project. He's an Army veteran himself with an incredible story, and we're going to hear more from Jason on the other side of this short break. This is Pete Schwaba and Nightlight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Subterranean by design. I wonder what I would find if I met you. Let my eyes caress you until I meet the daughter of Mrs. Princess who often wonder what makes her work. I guess I'll leave that question to the experts, assuming that there are some out there, they're probably alone, solitaire. I can remember when. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Don't blame me. You wanna cash out and get the hell out of town. Don't be a baby. Remember what you told me. Shut up and put your mouth
Welcome back.
where your mouth is. That's what you
So weird not hearing the news there. We are live on the stream. Hopefully you're joining us, folks. We have a great guest on right now. Jason Moon is joining us. He is the founder of Warrior Songs. He is a veterans advocate and a veteran himself who helps other veterans heal from PTSD through music. Jason, it's so great to have you on the show. Can you talk a little bit about your connection to music? And I assume it predates your military service, or maybe not. Is it something you found after?
No, I grew up singing songs around the campfire and singing out at the bonfire parties we'd have up there in Eagle River, and
nice.
Went to the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh and started playing and got involved in the folk acoustic scene around there. So by the time I went to Iraq, I was already a professional musician, and I put shows on over there. And it wasn't until I got home and started dealing with all the negative symptoms and emotions that I found it really hard to write. I found it really hard to perform, to go out and be on stage. And so I kind of let it take a back seat until I finally, 5 years after coming home, started writing the songs for Trying to Find My Way Home. And that kind of rekindled that love of it.
So you just said this fellow soldier heard the song Trying to Find My Way Home. That's the song or the album or both?
It's both. It's the album with the song on it. Yeah.
Okay. When did you write that song? Was that pre-service, or was that when you got back as a way to help you heal?
I actually started it in Iraq, just kind of the chorus. As I had gotten back from leave, I realized how strange and how changed I was by this experience to come home for 2 weeks and be around normal civilians and then get thrown back into a war zone was kind of a shock. And then it wasn't till I got home that I just kind of finished it. And it was the only song I had finished for 5 years as I struggled through all those symptoms. And I didn't really play it anywhere. And then it just started to get shared, got in a documentary and got used by a nonprofit called Soldier's Heart in a documentary called On the Bridge. And that's when it kind of blew up with all these. I thought I was alone. I thought I was the only one who came from Iraq and felt like this. And after the music got out there, then I started just getting inundated with phone calls and requests to speak and perform. And turned out I'm not the only one. And that's the pop.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, the beauty and the power of art, that's really amazing. And I applaud you for that. Let's hear this song. It's such a good tune. I want to thank you for sharing with us earlier. We cut it, and we're going to play it for everybody right now. This is the song Trying to Find My Way Home, written by Jason Moon. He's my guest right now. Here's the song, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Warrior Songs.
How do they expect a man to do the things that I have, come back and be the same? The things I've done that I regret, the things I've seen I won't forget, for this life and so many more. And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me is long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. And I've seen another side, another slice of the pie that didn't seem too fair to me. People who did not deserve the sufferings that they incurred, freedom ought to be free. And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me is long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. Whether we lose or win, I'm so sick and tired of the spin. Don't think I can take any more. If the truth must stay in disguise, hidden beneath all the lies, then what were we fighting for? And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me is long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. Trying hard to keep a smile, look into the eyes of my child and tell him my dad has to go. And after daddy's went away, he's come back and he ain't the same as the man that you used to know. And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me is long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. Sitting here with time to kill, staring out my windowsill, trying so hard to forget. In time I may forgive myself, but history repeats itself and burdens my soul with regrets. And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me, long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. Lately it's occurred to me, it's hard to fight an enemy that lives inside of your head. Spend my life in between the sleepless nights and the bad dreams, I think I might rather be dead. And I'm trying to find my way home. The child inside me, long dead and gone, somewhere between lost and alone, trying to find my way home. So how do they expect a man to see the things that I have, come back and be the same?
Just a beautiful song, Jason. That was Trying to Find My Way Home by my guest, Jason Moon, who is the founder of Warrior Songs. And his purpose is to help veterans heal from PTSD through music and song. Where can people find out more information about everything you're doing, Jason? This stuff, I'm sure it's a nonprofit, but it doesn't pay for itself. How do you get funded? Can people help? And how would they find out more information?
We're always excited to receive donations. Warriorsongs.org, warriorsongsplural.org. But all of our music is free to download, and we'll send it to any veteran free of charge. We've distributed over 80,000 copies of CDs free of charge since 2011, and prevented 34 suicides through that action. So they're welcome to come see what we're doing, find out about the Warrior Songs volumes we're creating now with other veterans, sharing their stories and having them turn into songs, and find out all about my tour of Wisconsin coming up, and maybe make a donation.
Let's talk about that. That's pretty exciting. You've got Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan, and a benefit concert in Milwaukee at Linneman's. Tell us where people can get more information on that, tickets, and are you excited to get back to the Midwest in the warmer months?
I am always excited to come back to Wisconsin in the warmer months. It's 120 degrees down here, and so I get 3 weeks. I come to Wisconsin. I see all my old friends, play all my favorite places, and all the money goes to support Warrior Songs. You can find out more about that at either my personal webpage, jasonmoon.org, or the Warrior Songs page, warriorsongs.org. And yeah, I imagine the list is too long to read right now, but I'm all over the place and I'm excited.
That's great. What was it like growing up in Eagle River? When I was a kid in Chicago, we used to go up to Three Lakes. My grandparents had a place there. In Eagle River, that's where we went to the movies, and where we would shop. And I just have this affection. I just feel warm all over when I think of Three Lakes and Eagle River and that awesome little movie theater in downtown Eagle River.
It was, I knew the people that owned that movie theater. It was
Vilas.
it was a weird experience because in the winter, there were 1,200 people, and you could literally take a nap in the center of Main Street, from 1 a.m. till 5 a.m, and no one would know you were there. And then in the summer, there was, 50,000, 100,000 tourists, mostly from the Chicagoland area or down there, the cabins up there. And so it would turn into this booming, exciting, all kinds of new and fun people to meet, and then turn into this absolute podunk, boring, hockey town all winter. So I couldn't wait to get out of there. But like most young people, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And now I love to go up there and hike all the trails I used to party on.
That's great. You've got a couple award-winning albums, Women at War and The Last Thing We Ever Do. Where can people find those, and how cool is that?
Yeah, those are also available free of charge to listen to and or download, or we'll send you a copy at warriorsongs.org. I was touring around with my music, trying to find my way home, helping these other veterans, and this woman, she said something to me that changed my life. In 2012, she had been raped in the Navy, and she took me aside and said, Jason, I think if someone could help me take my trauma, turn it into a song the way you did on trying to find my way home with your PTSD, I think I would have a healing like you did. And that was when I was like, oh my goodness, that's brilliant. Who's doing that? So I reached around in my community of musicians, and I created If You Have to Ask, Warrior Songs Volume 1. It's like 14 songs, 46 veterans, a bunch of artists. And that turned out very white and very male. And I got a lot of criticism for that. And I do what I always do when I get valid criticism. I went ahead and created the first ever in the history of modern music, Women Veterans, Women at War. Women veteran stories turned into songs. And that one won the Wisconsin Area Music Award Album of the Year in 2019, I believe. And we just released The Last Thing We Ever Do, which was Vietnam era veterans. And we're currently just about in post-production of BIPOC veterans, Black, Indigenous, people of color. Then we're going on to Collateral Damage, which just began. That's family and support. How does this war affect brothers, sisters, uncles, mothers, wives, kids, husbands, everyone else? And then we have Native and Indigenous voices. And that's as far as we have scheduled and budgeted. But it's supposed to be a 10 volume set that'll include every conceivable type of veteran and story in some facet. That's the hope. The most eclectic collection of veteran stories transformed to songs ever created.
That is ambitious and very impressive. We have to do a quick break in about 1 minute, but is part of your program teaching veterans how to play instruments or sing or themselves get involved in the music, or is it mostly just for them to listen to?
No, there's a great organization from Milwaukee, actually, Guitars for Vets, that does the teaching to play. We are primarily about a truth telling and getting this traumatic experience transformed into something positive, letting it live outside the veteran, and letting it get to other veterans who have similar experiences, and specifically the stories that aren't being told, the ones that aren't being featured on modern cinema, or the ones we don't hear about.
We'll have a few more minutes with Jason Moon. This has been fun, Jason, getting to know you, and I love the work you're doing. So we'll talk about it for a few more minutes after a very short break. This is Nightlight with Pete Schwaba on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Only lover I'm ever gonna need. The soft, sweet little girl's talk. I get so lost sometimes. Days pass, and this emptiness fills my heart. When I want to run away, I drive off in my car. But whichever way I go, I come back to the place you are. All my instincts, they return. The grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. In your eyes, the light, the heat, I am complete. See the doorway, the thousand churches, the resolution of all the fruitless searches. Oh, I see the light and the heat. Oh, I wanna be that complete. I wanna touch the light, the heat I see in your eyes.
Welcome back. It's always fun when we're only on the stream and we lose the radio to a political event and Conrad has to play DJ. And that was a hell of a fade, buddy, by the way.
I didn't mean to click it, and I was like, well, too late now.
We are in the final lap here for Nightlight here on this Tuesday night. My guest is Jason Moon. Check out his work at jasonmoon.org or go to warriorsongs.org and find out more information about what he's doing. He is a veteran and a veterans advocate and founded the program. Is it Warriors? It's Warrior Songs, but you have another one, the Warrior Project.
So yeah, I just founded a new organization, co-founded a new organization called Arizona Warriors Assembly. And this organization is about getting veterans to vetted, safe, overseas therapies that use sacred psychedelic medications and indigenous wisdom for healing.
Oh, wow.
So it's not legal here in the United States yet. Ayahuasca, peyote, psilocybin mushrooms, bufo. But veterans are having amazing results. And so we've created an organization to make it safe, make it vetted, and, make it easy for veterans to get there and for donors to donate. So we take veterans to Colombia and to Mexico and hopefully soon Brazil.
I just want to say everything we've talked about in the last half hour, Jason, and all the things you're doing have made me feel really terrible about my own life. So congrats for that.
No, you don't feel bad.
I'm just teasing. Who are your influences, Jason, musically? Like when you grew up, who did you listen to? Who do you listen to now? And who kind of inspires you musically?
My two biggest influences growing up were Bob Dylan and John Prine, that everybody would know.
Yeah.
And then on a smaller scale, people I actually got to meet and work with, a songwriter named Jason Eklund and a Milwaukee legend, Little Rev. ukulele player extraordinary. He was kind of a big influence. He got me turned on to traditional blues and bluegrass, and the Carter family and Americana music. And nowadays, I listen to a lot of John Hyatt, a lot of Lyle Lovett. I like a lot of Greg Brown. I love the songwriters, old raspy dudes who can barely sing, pouring their heart out. That's my jam. And just Americana music. I'll never turn off Bruce Springsteen, especially if it's acoustic. That's kind of my stuff.
Did you? Speaking of Springsteen, who's probably my all-time favorite, did you hear the Devils and Dust album?
I can't recall. Can you name a song off of it?
Black Cowboys, Maria's Bed. Jason, I would love to hear what your take is on the album, because he sings about veterans and being sent off to war, and it's very much acoustic. It reminded me a little bit of Nebraska. So
I was just going to say, it sounds like Nebraska. I'm going to check it out, because that's the one that turned me on to Bruce. I was like, wow, to make a demo and have your band tell you, nope, don't touch it. What was the name of that again? I'm going to write it down.
Devils and Dust.
Devils and Dust.
I would love to hear what you think about it if you give it a listen. Did you see A Complete Unknown, speaking of Bob Dylan?
I haven't yet. I know that it's not all true, and I'm well learned about his truth life. So I don't know. I had a lot of friends who were disappointed by the Johnny Cash biopic, who were huge fans. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Well, I'm a huge John Prine fan as well. He was, I think, the first COVID death I heard of, and that literally broke my heart, because he's such a great songwriter, and I could lose myself in his music for hours. When you're in Wisconsin, please let us know. If you tour around and get up this way, I would love to have you in the studio to perform, if that's something that would interest you. And my last question for you, are you binge watching anything on TV that you could recommend?
I don't really binge watch shows, but I do on occasion have some guilty pleasures. So there's a Netflix one called Warrior. It's about some Chinese American gang fighting in the 1800s.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did that start on HBO?
I think
yeah. Some great fight scenes in that.
Yeah, I like the kung fu and the old timey stuff. And then I've been watching Jack Reacher as it comes out. I still have an affection for those kind of Rambo type figures, even though I know it's not real. It's still fun to watch, just to junk on. So that's those are my binges.
The third season of Reacher, I think, drops in 2 days, and somehow they found a guy bigger than Reacher to be the bad guy. So that'll be interesting. And then, if you like those kind of movies, I would recommend a film called Rebel Ridge. I don't know if you saw that. It's on Netflix. About a veteran trying to get his brother his cousin out of prison. A really good film, like a smarter Rambo. I would recommend that as well.
I would definitely watch it. I like those man against world, just as a fantasy, but it definitely feels like that sometimes.
Good escapism, but what you're doing is very real, and I thank you for your time tonight. I wish you luck. Keep up the great work, and thank you for your service, buddy. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me, and please check out warriorsongs.org to listen to this music.
Absolutely.
Have a good one, everybody.
You too. Thanks, Jason. warriorsongs.org and jasonmoon.org. Check it out. It'll tell you all the things you need to know about Jason and some of the great work he's doing with Warrior Songs. Thank you also to Jim Flanagan. Thank you for all your texts from John Hughes. Man, we got some great texts tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night to do it all again, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you'll join me. It'll be Wednesday. It won't be Fuse Day, Conrad.
What are you calling Wednesday?
I don't know. We'll have to think of some lighting it up type of thing, right?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll do that. On behalf of the lovable producer, Conrad, I am Pete Schwaba. This is Night Light. Good night, Wisconsin.
I'll take you to your best friend's house. Marmalade, we're making out.